Alright, so unless you've been out of the loop recently, chances are you've all seen the reveal trailer for Battlefield 6 last week. And it's safe to say that it's got a lot of us excited in the Battlefield community. I've been playing Battlefield for quite a few years. I actually started out with Battlefield 3, but played 3, 4, 1, Hardline. I'm definitely a bit of a hardcore Battlefield fan. And I wanted to make a video kind of discussing both my initial impressions, but also to be able to have this forum to sort of give, if anyone does watch this from Battlefield, to give them some advice on what I think players are wanting the game to do, but also wanting the game to avoid doing and avoid making certain mistakes. So I want to take this chance to have also a discussion with you guys, talk about your initial impressions of Battlefield 6. What are you going to be pre-ordering the game? Are you just going to be waiting till release? And also, are you excited for any features and upcoming things coming in Battlefield 6? So without further ado, let's talk about some of the key points, first of all, that I think look good from my initial impressions. Okay, so the first thing that I really like is the class system is back. I think players have definitely wanted the class system ever since it was removed in the previous Battlefield title. Classes do make a lot of sense in a Battlefield game. It's what players are used to. It's good to lock certain things behind certain players, so there's a reason to be in a squad, right? The whole premise of it is you squad up with your mates and each of you has a specific role. One of you is the medic, one of you is the anti-vehicle person, one of you has a sniper rifle for long-range combat. You get the point, right? The idea is that it fosters better team play and better squad play. If you can all do the same thing, then it really makes it difficult to play as a squad because there's not designated roles. So who does what? If one person can do everything, what's the point of being in a squad in the first place? So bringing back the class system, I think, is a fantastic move. And even though it may not make sense to people who don't understand games, locking certain weapons behind certain classes will actually improve the experience by enhancing what a squad can do and making sure people have designated roles in the squad. So thank God the class system is coming back. That is definitely something that I'm very excited for. The next thing is the realism level. Now, Battlefield has always sort of had to straddle this in between being arcadey and realistic. Battlefield players don't want an arcadey experience like Call of Duty, but they also don't want a milsim kind of experience like Arma or Squad. They have to sit in a sort of weird middle ground where you might think that a Battlefield game wouldn't work, but in fact it definitely works, and there's always a market for this sort of semi-realistic game. I really also hope that, on a side note, that things like customization stay grounded in reality. One of the worst things that I think has happened in modern gaming, and especially with games like Call of Duty, is you can be playing the game and trying to, immerse yourself in the situation, but you could see a character come out of nowhere, clad in all pink with a chrome gun, and I think it just takes you out of that experience. It just feels silly and like they're not taking the setting seriously. Again, from initial impressions, all the customization and stuff looks at least grounded in reality. There's different types of camos, I'm sure, and there's going to be all different types of, uniforms or helmets or masks or, whatever it is. I think players do want to have the ability to customize their own character. They just want it to be, at least realistic of what a soldier would be expected to wear, right? So it doesn't take away from the experience, and it feels like that the game devs are treating the game with a level of, seriousness that I think Battlefield should be awarded as being like a military kind of game, right? So that's one thing that also looks good, is that they're keeping it semi-realistic, and the customization options hopefully aren't going to be too out there. One of the other things I do want to touch on as well is the destruction. Now, destruction has always been a staple of the Battlefield franchise. It's almost one of its defining characteristics, right? Battlefield needs to have good destruction. The fact that, maps can change over the course of an entire gameplay, buildings can get destroyed, and especially in Battlefield 4 we had Levolution, I think is a core tenet of Battlefield. And it's great to see that, at least in the initial trailer and all the multiplayer gameplay, that there is going to be plenty of opportunities to mold and change the map through destruction. So Another good thing that looks to be on the horizon is plenty of destruction, new ways to blow stuff up, which is, I think, what a lot of players have also been wanting from Battlefield. So good thing that there is destruction in this game. However, unfortunately, we now need to talk about some of the stuff that I do not want Battlefield 6 to do, and I really, really hope they don't do. The first one is we need a good launch. Now, historically, Battlefields have not always had the best launches. I mean, if any of you were there for the launch of 3 and 4, it wasn't good. But we have had some good launches. Battlefield Hardline had a really good launch, and so did 1. So it's a bit of a 50-50 whether the launch is going to be good or not. I think Battlefield franchise need to get some consumer confidence back, and one of the best ways of doing that is to have a clean launch. Very minimal bugs. I'm sure there's going to be stuff that comes up in the first couple of weeks. That is normal, and I think players expect it. But we want something that is playable on day one and not a buggy mess. So please, 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 please take the time to play test your game, work out the bugs and the kinks, and release a product that you can actually play on day one. That's what a lot of players want. Thing number 2 is microtransactions. I'm sort of expecting microtransactions to be in this game. As I touched on earlier, I really hope they're not silly customization, options for your weapons, your outfits, whatever it is. I'm still expecting semi-realistic customization. And to be honest, I don't mind there being microtransactions in the game, but what I do mind is when they create a pay-to-win system where players are forced to grind a ridiculously long time for the weapons, the vehicles, or the cosmetics that they want. Everything should be earnable through in-game XP, and it should be able to be done in a reasonable time. If there are people who want to pay for, XP boosts and speed the grind up, I can totally get that, and that should be an option for some people, because realistically, some of us have jobs and might not have as much time to grind the game as we would like. But the caveat to that is, the grind still needs to be fairly sensible for the average player. And so, like I said, I don't mind them having microtransactions for certain things, but they need to be really careful. For God's sake, don't put any gambling, loot box type stuff in Battlefield 6. It doesn't work. We don't want it. Get it out. And one of the last things I want to touch on, which I think is going to be so refreshing, is to keep politics out of Battlefield 6. We've seen it happen in the past. We've seen politics get involved in video games. It's a common occurrence now. People have enough politics in their life, right? There's no shortage of politics out there just online and in the real world. When people come home after a hard day's work, what they don't want to do is sit down, play their favourite video game, and get a lecture about politics from a game development studio. Nobody wants it. Keep politics out of our game. If you want to get involved in politics, get into politics. Don't put it in our video game. Plain and simple. And the last thing is advanced movement. Now, I'd love to get your guys' opinion on this because it's been a very recent trend, advanced movement. I remember the days when it was like a staple and you needed it, all the advanced warfare, Call of Duty type stuff, all the double jumping in Titanfall, right? God, those were the days. They need to be careful with advanced movement. Some of the stuff from the multiplayer trailer actually looks really good. So there's an animation where it looks like they're dragging a friendly player and they're able to revive the player. Stuff like that I actually think is going to be a great addition to Battlefield. What I don't think would be a great addition to Battlefield is having some silly sprint animation where the guy's holding his gun with one hand, pointing it up into the air and slide cancelling all over the place. That's not what Battlefield players want. I'm happy for there to be advanced movement if they want to have, like I said, that dragon animation, or if they want to have players be able to vault over certain objects, or even have certain, weird firing positions, like if they're lying down and, they're looking or peeking around a corner. That sort of stuff I think is fine. What isn't fine is having just ridiculously fast players sprinting around everywhere, slide cancelling and all this kind of crap. We don't want it. Advanced movement I think works in certain situations if it's a slower kind of movement. But yeah, I don't want to see players running around all over the place, with an infinite sprint and, you know, waggling their gun in the air like it's a freaking torch, right? That's not what we want. But I'd like to hear your guys' opinion on this, because maybe some of you sit in the camp where you just would want the movement to be quite plain and simple, but maybe some of you are actually quite interested in having an advanced movement and all these, you know, cool peeking abilities, or maybe you can, like I say, you can lie down. There's definitely an animation in the multiplayer trailer, I believe it is, where the guy jumps over a building, lands on his back, and can still shoot the enemy players. So, you know, we're going to have to wait and see, but I'd love to hear your guys' feedback on that. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed. I'm definitely excited for Battlefield 6. I'm going to hopefully try and follow it, keep an eye on the news, and consume any more marketing content that comes my way, I'm sure. But yeah, I think what we all really want as Battlefield fans is just another solid Battlefield entry. We want to go back to basics, but we also don't want a nostalgia trip. I'm happy for Battlefield 6 to try new things, to try new modes, to experiment. Because at the end of the day, if they don't experiment and they don't innovate, we would just get the same game every single year, like FIFA. But I'm really excited for Battlefield 6. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you've enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe, as it really does help out the channel, and I do appreciate every single like and subscribe we get. But without further ado, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.